Hey everybody, welcome to Common Sense Unleashed. Today we're going to dive into, and that's right, by the way, I'm in a closet. Broadcasting to you live from a closet somewhere in the United States of America. It is Common Sense Unleashed. We're going to just dive in. Let me just rewind and dive into all kinds of issues, talk about things, break them down, hear your thoughts, leave your thoughts, comments below. And we're going to break things down. The one we're going to break down this episode will be the Citizenship Rights, Equal Protection Appointment. Basically, the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship's kind of becoming a pretty good topic out there as Trump is now in his third day of office. We're going to talk about that real quick. And first off, obviously, Trump has signed an executive order that is taking away birthright citizenship. Okay, so let's break that down real quick and talk about what that is. All right, birthright citizenship. It basically it's where if you have a child in a country and you're not a citizen, that child becomes a citizen of that country. Now, right now, as you see here, there are, most of the countries that accept birthright citizenship are in North or South America. It's about 30-ish countries. And if you have to look at it, there's about 195 countries or sovereign nations on the globe. So roughly 17% of those countries, and here they are in green, do birthright citizenship. Now, most of Europe does not. You have to be naturalized citizen. And what does naturalized mean? That you'll see that in the 14th Amendment. But naturalization right here is the legal act or process by which a non-national of a country acquires the nationality of that country after birth. So that's that is naturalization after birth, not from birth. The definition of naturalization is by the International Organization of Migration. All right, so that's what that is. Now, obviously, you think about this from a broader perspective. Let's talk about why birthright citizenship is probably not a great idea in today's time. Was it a great idea as America was being built and populated? Obviously, in the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s. Yes, it probably was, because it was about gaining population, gaining the size that we have today. But today, obviously, it's not that way. So there's some definitely a different time. And so, what does birthright citizenship do to those who are not legal citizens? It obviously it creates incentive. There's an incentive for them to come here. If we can just get across the border, if we can find our way into the country, have our child, they'll be a citizen and their lives will be better. And granted, that's a noble thought from parents who are not citizens of this country legally. It's a noble thought. I mean, if you were in their shoes, would you be trying to do that if you were in dire situation? Yes, you probably would. And you would really be depending upon that, and that's your motivation. Birthright citizenship would be your motivation to get across that border legally or illegally. And that's what we're seeing today. We've shifted from populating this country to now maintaining this country. You've seen millions and millions and millions came across this border the last 4 years under President Biden with his open border policy. They came to this country illegally. So now, once these borders are now becoming under control and our sovereignty is being protected, now we've got to talk about the policies that are behind everything. So birthright citizenship is on that discussion table. Let's go straight to the 14th Amendment and talk about what it is. So there's 5 sections to the 14th Amendment. You can see them right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Section 1 is really all it is, and it's a paragraph. Isn't it beautiful how simple this is? Section 1, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any persons within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So this is basically where it comes down to, is the first sentence. all persons, and it's really the first two words, all person, well, the first three words, all persons born. Now, it doesn't really tell you a whole lot. It just says all persons born. Are they born of citizens already? Or are they born of one citizen and one non-citizen? It doesn't specify. It doesn't say that. Interesting enough, the very first case that this was argued was in 1898, and it was a guy named Wong Kim, who was born on United States soil by two non-citizens, and he left the country, came back, but was held up at customs, I guess you'd say. And it says here, when he didn't, third paragraph down, this one right here, when Wong was denied re-entry into the United States after visiting China, he was forced to wait on a ship in San Francisco for months as his attorney pursued his case for citizenship. He was a test case selected by the Department of Justice in an attempt to prove that people of Chinese descent weren't citizens if they weren't already citizens, or from parents who were already citizens. So the case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and he actually won. Horace Gray, who was the presiding, who wrote the majority opinion, he said, to hold that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution excludes from citizenship the children born in the United States of citizens or subjects of other countries would be to deny citizenship to thousands of persons of English, Scottish, Irish, German, who have always been considered and treated. Now, that's interesting because he's looking backward. It's almost like he made that decision looking back into who had already came, which was millions of people by that time, had already came into the country. So he's looking at it from kind of a rear view mirror. Hey, we better not do this because all these people would no longer be citizens. When actuality, it probably should have been looked at from there forward, a forward look. It doesn't look like that's what happened here. So this was the first case where Wong Kim he won and set that precedent at that time. So that's where the issue is now. Let's go back and take a look at what President Trump said. I think this was in 2016 as he was initially pursuing this.
On immigration, some legal scholars believe you can get rid of birthright citizenship without changing the Constitution.
With an executive order.
Exactly.
Right.
Have you thought about that?
Yes.
Tell me more.
It was always told to me that you needed a constitutional amendment.
Right. 14th Amendment.
You don't.
You don't.
Number one, you don't need that. Number two,
I mean, that's in dispute.
You could definitely
that's very much in dispute.
Well, you can definitely do it with an act of Congress, but now they're saying I can do it just with an executive order. Now, how ridiculous. We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it has to end.
Have you talked about that with council?
Yeah, I have.
So where in the process?
It's in the process. It'll happen. With an executive order. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
that's
it's
a very
exactly what I'm
interesting
talking about.
I didn't think anybody knew that but me. I thought I was the only one. Jonathan,
I've got a good guess. Good guess.
Impressed.
So in typical Trump fashion, he's always impressed by the knowledge of others. But it's interesting. He said that we were the only country. Now, that may not necessarily be the case. Maybe it's perhaps we're the only country with all of the bundle that we give. Other countries may be limited in what they give. They may give birthright citizenship, but they may not give everything else. We may be the only one that gives everything, from programs to supplements to whatever assistance that may be happening. So that's what's on the table, folks. Birthright citizenship. At first glance, seems harmless, but today's world that we live in, it's really a motivation, it seems, for those who are illegal immigrants that are trying to enter this country illegally to short circuit the system and win at the end. Whereas people who are legally trying, they have to go through the proper channels and naturalization in an effort to gain citizenship. So I do think that on the flip side, today where we're at, birthright citizenship should be challenged. And it probably should be changed because we're trying to predict the sovereignty of our great nation, as well as look at the European nations again, the European nations that have done this. Many in the red, they do not have birthright citizenship. Australia, South Africa, most of the European countries, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, India, gosh, I don't even you don't even know what China. We don't even know what China does. It's not even listed Russia. I don't think that they're even in question. So, on that note, there you go, folks. I hope I tried to explain what this is all about and what's at stake here. Sovereignty of the country at this stage of where we're at in history looks like it should be protected. And if you want to enter the country legally, have children, that's great. If you're illegally in the country and you have children, probably not. They probably shouldn't be allowed to be citizens and receive full benefits from what this country has to offer. Should go around it the right way, the legal way. All right, folks, have a good one. Leave your comments below. I want to hear what you think.